Because this is going on YouTube, I do want to make a few shout outs this evening because we actually have people all over the globe that are following the program. And just so that they feel a part of us, I think that what Cape Breton does well is we extend warm welcomes. So at the end, I think we should give them a nice round of applause. We have a group from Vancouver Island. Rob McNeil is one of my dearest friends, and those that are connected to him, he's doing some great and some wonderful things. He's been through a lot in his own life. He's developing a website, and I truly believe that this is someone that you might want to actually connect with via the internet at some point. He's got a lot of great information. So those people connected with Robbie McNeil and his world out on Vancouver Island. So a shout out hello to Vancouver Island. Alberta, particularly people in Fort Mac. We have a little pot of people in Calgary. We have a little pot of people in Edmonton, so hello to you. Ottawa, those that are associated with Lindsay McPhee. Lindsay McPhee has a large group that are moving in the same direction, that have been following our progress as a group here in Cape Breton, so a shout out to Ottawa. New Brunswick, hello to New Brunswick. We have a little pot of people there. Nova Scotia, of course, people in Halifax. We have a large movement in Halifax that are starting the program. And Liverpool, my aunt is in Liverpool. She's transitioned into a plant-based diet, so hello to you. Australia, we have a little group of people in Australia. Denmark and California. So a big Cape Breton welcome for all of you. Thank you. Okay, so some of you tonight are probably wondering how in the world you got here. You think, I'm here by default because my wife made me come. That always works, because she does the cooking most times. I see a lot of men going, yeah, that's right. I want to assure you that nothing in life happens by accident, and that you are here because on some deep subconscious level, you were called to be here. One of the reasons why this program has not been advertised through local media, newspaper, Facebook. I'm not even on Facebook. I know that's terrible. Ray J talked to me about that today. But the reason for that is because I truly believe that this change has to happen when you're ready. And I believe that when you come, you're coming because you're searching for different answers. You're searching for a different thought process, a different way of living. So I welcome you here tonight. And I really hope that this is not the first time I will see you and that you will continue to come back because this is an incredible journey. This is a community helping a community. And I don't think it gets any better than that. As a society today, we are stuck competing with one another as opposed to helping one another. And I think that the tides are definitely changing. We live in a duality, and the most pristine moment in time where the world on some level seems to be very chaotic and disorganized. We find this beauty of organization and clarity, and I think that's something that we need to build on. So thank you so much for coming and allowing me to be part of the beginning of your journey. I have notes tonight. I don't usually follow notes for those of you that have been here before. But I do want to try to keep this on point. We're going to make a valiant effort to try to keep the meetings to about an hour 15, 20 minutes, with the exclusion of this evening, because there's a lot of information that we're going to go through to help start you off. So, the very first thing that I want to point out to you this evening is that this cleanse program requires one thing from you. And it's that you need to come with an open mind. You need to sit and allow the information to permeate without judgment. Because as soon as we put up a block, all the information, sorry, they can't hear me in the back of the room, because all of the information that resides behind that block, you've cut yourself off to. So it's really important that you sit there and just allow the information to come in. Come into your essence, come into your being, come into your life. Some of you are not ready to make a 100% change turnaround 2 weeks from now. And I understand that, and I get that. It's important that we meet you where you are, because one change is absolutely better than none. So don't be intimidated or scared to come back if you can't commit to the protocol that I have laid out for the program. There's almost, 7 billion people on the planet? There's 7 billion different diets that work for each individual person. The problem is we allow excuses to come in, even though we know what's best for us. Oftentimes we allow those excuses, those reasonings, because we want the comfort food, to say, no, that diet doesn't work for me. Hamburgers work for me. Yeah. Hamburgers don't work for you. That I can very much guarantee. So, you were born with absolutely everything that you require to live a life of balance, of joy, of love, and of health. The choices that we make, the life and the body that you are sitting in right now, is a physical, emotional, and energetic manifestation of the choices that you have made in your life to this point. That's really important. The choices that you have made. If you are not living close to your balance point, if you are living in a body that you don't recognize, if you are living in a world that is uncomfortable, we have to look at the choices that we are making. That's hard. It's uncomfortable. It takes us outside of our comfort zone. But I promise you that if you take a look deep within and you are truly honest with yourself, your entire life will change. From the things that you think, to the way you feel inside, to the world that you've manifested outside. Everything changes. How many people in here have done a cleanse protocol before? Just put up your hand. Oh, that's awesome. How many have done it with me? Oh my God, it's the same number. No, it wasn't. Very close though. So, basically what I want to do this evening is outline I don't like saying the do's and the don'ts of the program, but I want to explain a little bit about the information behind the program, the protocol behind the program, and then lay out some of the information that you're going to be experiencing over the next 10 weeks. We say 10 because the cleanse actually doesn't start for another 2 weeks. So this will be your introductory session. Next Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m., we will have a grocery store tour. That will be located at the Sydney River Superstore for those that are interested in coming. And that's where I'll outline a lot of the actual food choices. So although this is all about food tonight, we're actually not going to talk a lot about food because we're going to save that when I'm at the grocery store. And for those of you that have participated in that visit before, I strongly recommend that you come again because the information just settles on a different level of consciousness every time you come in. So it's really, really important that if you have any questions about the food that you're going to be eating, that Sunday morning, 7:30, after your 10-kilometer run, you're going to join us. Perfect. Okay. So those of you that need my academic resume, this is something that I don't spend a lot of time on because I really feel it's not really that significant. Because if you can walk or mobilize in some way, read, you can actually assimilate all this information for yourself. I think that sometimes we put too much emphasis on people that hold the knowledge with degrees and not enough validation for the people that don't. So those of you that require this, like I said, I have a few degrees. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Community Studies. I have a Bachelor of Science degree. And I did a 3-year massage therapy diploma program in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. So the moral of that story is I had a lot of student loan. And I learned how to learn, and I learned how to read. And then I wrote a bunch of tests. So that was all good. I'm going to start tonight's talk with the science of epigenetics. How many in here have heard about epigenetics before? Oh boy, there's only a few? Can I do this? I had a cold for 1 day last week. And now I have a voice like I swallowed a frog, so I'll have to drink a little bit. Epigenetics is a newer science that's been on the forefront for the last 10 years. And before we start, the reason why I'm starting the conversation tonight about epigenetics is because most of you are sitting there and saying, yeah, this is good information, but I have heart disease because my mother and father had it. I have cancer because my mother had cancer. I have an autoimmune disease because my grandparents had autoimmune diseases. Epigenetics is a new science on the cutting edge which has released the shackles of that train of thought. It debunks the myth that genes control your life. Epigenetics basically states that the cell function is determined, or your genetic expression is determined by the cellular environment which that cell sits. The extracellular fluid that bathes the cell is biochemically charged, bioelectrically charged, hormonally charged, and nutritively charged. You can't escape your genetic predisposition. You were born, when you decided to jump into this body glove of skin, you came here with genes that you have acquired from your ancestors, your parents, their parents, so on and so forth. But whether that gene is ever expression, it is a function of the environment that you set up for that cell. That's hugely powerful, because no longer do you have to say, I'm predestined to have a heart attack. But you can choose to have one, or you can choose to have cancer, or we can choose to have an autoimmune disease by living a lifestyle that is not in your highest interest. That's a huge statement. For those of you that want a little bit more information, Dr. Bruce Lipton, a molecular biologist, does a fabulous job of explaining that. And we will touch on this whole topic again in our very last meeting. And we're going to talk about how they brought this to the forefront. So epigenetics. So now that we know that we're sitting in the life and the body of choice, that we don't have to blame our genes for our life, that we are potentially choosing a different path today and right now, we also have to look at the fact that our cells speak a universal language. I was asked to do an Ideas Powered by Passion seminar series talk in February. For those of you that were there, it was a lovely experience. For those of you that were there, I'm going to recap some of the information that I went over that evening. Our cells speak a universal language, without question. Every single cell in our body has an inherent intelligence. It knows exactly what it needs to do. All we need to do is put the right choices in place, the right things, mobilize the right characteristics of life. Our cells need nutrients. And I have established, through my work, in my readings in complementary medicine over the last 20 years, that basically what a nutrient is something that sustains life itself. That when taken away, we die. That we absolutely require for cellular function. There are 5 essential nutrients that I recognize. Air. When we say nutrients, we always think food, but we can't live without air. Air is so special and so unique because it represents the symbiotic relationship that we have with the world around us. It creates this beautiful, intimate dance with nature because as we breathe off carbon dioxide, plants inhale their life. They need carbon dioxide, nitrogen. And as they expire their oxygen, we inhale our life. Hugely important. Air. Water. This is probably one of the most underestimated nutrients because we take it for granted. We all have access to water. Water is so important. It's a beautiful conductor of energy, electrical energy. We are bioelectrically charged beings. We need impulses to reach our cells. And if we don't have enough water in our system, that doesn't function properly. So what have we done to our water supply? How many people in here are on municipal water? So how many people in here realize the amount of chemicals that you're getting in your municipal water supply? Chlorine, fluoride. And I get chlorine, you know, not that I like it, but I get it. It's there to treat the water. Fluoride is not there to treat water. It's there to treat the individual. And this is something that bothers me deeply and greatly. I'm not on municipal water. I bought my house, we bought our house in the country for that sole purpose of not being on a municipal water supply. Fluoride competes with your thyroid hormone on the cell surface. How many people know someone with a thyroid condition? Lots. And there's other contributing factors as well. But we are bathing and we are drinking this water every day. And there is something that you can do about it. And I'm not even going to go on that little tangent. But I do recommend for those of you that are on a municipal water supply to really do some research as to what the fluoride is doing. It's being stored in your bones, in your tissues. It's not given up freely. It's there to treat you, and you didn't have a choice. It's not there to treat the water. So that's something that you need to think about. Go home. Contact a local politician, official, whatever you need to do, but that is a question that you have to ask yourself. Free water. Free water is your best water. If you're on a well, that's great. If you're taking your water from one of those beautiful little spouts on the side of a dirt road somewhere, that's even better. The best water on this planet is free. It's gone through all of the microfiltration of the earth. So when you can get your water from one of those little nice springs, I have one just below my house on Bournaut Road. I'll have to put a stop sign and a set of lights there now, I guess. Fill up your water jugs. Drink from that. Plastics. For those of you that don't drink your water supply because you are aware of what's in it, we tend to buy bottled water. Plasticizers. Leach xenoestrogens into your water. Huge problem today. Do your research with that. We'll talk about this as the program unfolds. The next nutrient. So we had air. We have water. We have the sun. The sun is a beautiful nutrient that we have spent a tremendous amount of time over the last number of years running away from, not embracing. Every single cell in your body has a receptor for vitamin D. That is our sun vitamin, which is actually a hormone, vitamin D. Melatonin helps regulate your sleep-wake cycle. We don't sleep anymore. Why is that? We are hooked up to dirty electricity all day long on a computer. We don't get enough sun because we're too busy running away from it. We're jacked up on coffee, trying to then smooth the effects of the coffee with a glass of wine, eating the ears off your chocolate bunny, and then we wonder why we can't sleep. Wow. Sun is important. Love. Love is our soul nutrient. Love nourishes the very essence of your soul and those around you, your family, your community, a community at large. Who are we without love? Who are we without passion? How many of us have lost our way, lost our passion? You don't recognize your life anymore. It's just about get the kids to school, get the kids to dance, come home. No, we can't have time to make supper. Go through a drive-through, get the kids to bed, and then, oh yeah, drink the wine, and then go to bed. That's our day. That's our day. Where is the love, people? Where is the love? And finally, our fifth nutrient is food. Vastly important, and in this introductory program, this is the one that we are going to focus on. Food composes our macro and micronutrient profile. For those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, you will learn over the next 8 weeks. Macronutrients are your fats, your proteins, and your carbohydrates. Your micronutrients are your vitamins, your minerals, and your phytochemicals, antioxidants, things of that nature. When you eat for micronutrient value, you eat for life. You eat for vitality. You eat for longevity. Really important, and we're going to learn all about that over the next 8 weeks. Everyone with me so far? We're good? Okay. Most of the decisions that we make today are made based on fear. To vaccinate or not to vaccinate, we choose to vaccinate because we fear the repercussions of not vaccinating. When we have a dis-ease in our body, we choose to do all the conventional medicine because we are scared not to. A lot of the decisions that you are making have been downloaded through social media, the television. Every time you're watching your favorite television program, what shows up? A Twinkie commercial, or a wine, or beer, or these cool young people partying it up, having a great time, advertising some new quick fast food. We have allowed those things to carve our life path. And this program, what I hope to impose on you, is the power and the free will to make different choices so you can live a different life. We have made bad science a science. For every single study, every single research study, every single test that gives you A information, you'll have another research study that gives you B information. And it will contradict A, and A contradicts B. And after a while, as a consumer of this worldly knowledge, we get very confused as to what is right, what is wrong, what we should do, what we need to do, what we can't do. It's chaos. It's confusion. What I am challenging every single one of you to do, whether you believe a word I say, whether you want to be here or not, whether you're here by default or not, is to be your own science experiment. Because nothing on this planet will give you as much information as actually taking it in for yourself. Be your science. Be your science. Make different choices. We're doing good so far. I'm actually on point. I believe, this is my personal belief, being in holistic medicine, complementary medicine for a number of years, that there is essentially one disease on this planet. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's manifested as cancer, an autoimmune disorder, heart disease, diabetes. It's one disease. It's a disease of toxicity and deficiency. Think about that. Diseases of toxicity and deficiency creates massive amounts of inflammation, massive amounts of stress. One disease. Your body is constantly making biochemical adjustments to achieve a state of homeostasis, balance. So we as individuals can work with it, or we can work against it. We can thrive, or we can just survive. And as a culture, North American culture, we've done a really good job of surviving the insults of our choices instead of thriving in the light of what's natural and becoming for our highest potential. Toxicity and deficiency, very important. So, what are toxins? Talk about toxins. Toxins are anything that takes away from our essence. We have toxic relationships. I'm sure none of you know what that means. Toxic relationships. We have toxic thought patterns. And we have toxicity in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food that we ingest. We have toxins everywhere. There are over 80,000 industrial chemicals used in the world today. Over 80,000. And 80% of those chemicals, the National Research Council of Canada has no toxicity data for. That's, according to my math, about 64,000 chemicals that we have no idea what they're doing to us. We have over 3,000 different food additives in our food supply. 3,000. And over 70% of the food on the grocery store shelves in your supermarket have at least one genetically modified species. That is insanity. And how many people knew about that? We're here to change. We're here to read labels. That's fun. That's good. I truly believe that along with the one disease, we have one syndrome. It's our value inversion syndrome. We all suffer from it at one point in our lives because what we have seen is a total inversion of our values. We live in homes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. We drive vehicles worth tens of thousands of dollars. We put our children in the best clothes and we put our children in the best activities that cost a lot of money. And at the end of the day, at the end of that, once all that money is taken away, we don't have enough money to buy the best food on the planet. We're living in this duality where we are fatter and sicker than we've ever been as a culture. And yet we're starving at a cell level. We are eating enormous amounts of food, but our cells are starving because we're not getting the proper nutrients. We're also living in a time where the best bioavailable foods that resonate with your highest of energies is available at a click of a button. A jaunt to your local market, a jaunt to your grocery store. We have this crazy duality happening. It's like it's all there, but we choose not to take it. We choose not to learn about it because we're too busy doing other stuff. Our children, this is the first generation of children that are not supposed to outlive their parents. That's deeply disturbing for me. I don't have children, but I'm deeply disturbed by that. We don't even know what that looks like because there's a chronological order in which we lose people. We lose our grandparents, we lose our parents, and then we transform. That's the way it's supposed to go. That's not the way it's going. You as young parents will see your children with heart disease, diabetes, and cancer if we don't make these choices to choose a different path. We live in a crazy duality because the best foods on the planet are here, but we choose differently. We were making different choices. We're migrating away from our balance point. So, the very first interface that we have with the outside world is that which is in contact with our skin and our gut, our GI system. And because of the choices that we have made in our diets and in our life with stress, our GI systems are full of inflammation. We couldn't absorb a nutrient if we wanted to, even if we actually put them in there. So through this program, what we hope to do is to reduce the amount of systemic inflammation you have so you can upload your nutrients again and you can re-nutrify, detoxify your body. That's what we hope to do. So what is cleansing? Cleansing is a process that we all know how to do. You were born with every filter you will ever need. You were born with every cleansing process, protocol that you will ever need. All you have to do is access the mechanism. All we need to do is to take a break from the foods that are bogging our system down and choose differently. Because we can't get two things into the same space. We can't essentially have a body full of toxins and a body full of nutrients. You can't get two cars in the same parking spot. So we have to unload the toxins to upload our nutrients. Do we have that? We know what that looks like. Is anyone asleep yet? No, that's great. That's good. That's good. So basically, cleansing is a process, like I said, that is natural to all of us. Many of us go out and do the little box jobby from the natural food store or the natural food section in your grocery store and think, okay, all is well. I just swallowed a bunch of bottles of I don't know what. I sat on the toilet for a week. Life is good. But you didn't change your diet. So all the stuff that got you there, you're still doing it. It's like the detox-retox system, all at once. So in this program, over the next 8 weeks, we're not going to do the retox. We're not going to buy a bottle of anything. You're going to get back to what nature intended. You're going to come back to what our bodies know. We're going to speak a universal language that our body understands. The great thing about health is it doesn't discriminate. Regardless of your culture, your gender, your age, or your socioeconomical status, we all want the same things. Fundamentally, we want to know we matter. We want to know that we are loved. And we want to be in balance. Detoxifying your body and uploading nutrients that resonate with your highest potential gives you essentially that. It gives you back your life. What an amazing thing. You have no idea. People are sitting there saying, uh-huh. Yep. She's crazy. But for those of you that have been here before, you know it because you felt it. And like I said, regardless of what level that you're prepared to commit to, it is worth your effort. It is worth your while. It is worth learning about. Whether you decide to make this change today or you decide to make it 10 years from now, it's worth having the knowledge. Because oftentimes we do not make a change until something in our life changes. Someone needs to die, or we need to be diagnosed with something, or we have to be so miserable, in such a miserable state, to actually stimulate change. I say, why wait? Live your best day ever, right now, today. It's a process, and I get that. It's learning, and I get that. It's supporting one another, and we're here to do that. This is a recipe for success. Being involved in a forum with like-minded people, moving in the same direction, supporting one another, is a recipe for success. But it may not be your time, and that's okay. But please don't not come if you're not prepared to commit to the program, because we want you here. I want to impose on you new information so that you can live your best life and that you can pass that information on to your children and your grandchildren and everybody that you love and care about in your world. So, when we choose to cleanse, we are basically giving our bodies a rest from the insults of the choices that we are making, the inflammatory foods, so that our body can let go of toxins. Most toxins are stored in fat. Fat is biochemically neutral. And there's a research study that suggests that the average human being, the fat cell of the average human being holds up to 800 different toxins. That's a massive amount of toxins. And then it splays out into our tissues, our muscles, our organ tissue, our blood. Our bodies are very sensitive. Fat is biochemically neutral. It's a sweet spot for these chemicals, but when you decide to detoxify, they're coming out. And they can be nasty little things when they come out. How many here are here to lose weight? Be honest. Oh, there's more than that. Multiply that by 300. And we have the right answer. It's like, And I always say, if you're here to lose weight, you're here for the wrong reason. But if you're here to lose weight, you will stay for the right reason. And you will lose weight. Typically, over the 8 weeks, you'll lose about 10% of your body weight. For some, it could be a lot more. For others, it may not be as much. If you don't, every single body has its sweet spot, has its Cinderella spot, where you metabolically function at your optimal level. For some, it could be a little heavier. For others, it might be a little thinner. If you are thin and you're worried about losing weight, you probably won't lose more than a pound or two. Because your body knows where it's happy. You got that happy thing. And it's not with chocolate, wine, meat, cheese. Not with those. Okay? For those of you that are on medications, blood pressure medications, you're doing chemotherapy interventions, people with thyroid conditions, any type of medication at all, it is extremely important, and mark my words here, that you have a conversation with your physician. Because there is a good chance that if you follow the protocol 100%, you will be over-medicated. Cholesterol medication, blood pressure medication, reflux medication, sleeping medication, antidepressant medication. I'm not suggesting that you come off of it, but I'm absolutely suggesting to you that you have a candid conversation with your doctor and that you do go through this process together because they are all acting in your best interest. Your doctors are conventionally trained. They trained in a system that was different than mine. And we all want the same thing. We all want the very best for the people that we are caring for. But we're just trained in two different systems. And there is absolutely no reason why those two systems can't come together and make the best life, best decisions for your health. But you need to step up to the plate. You can't expect your doctor to do all the work for you. They don't have necessarily the same information that you're going to have. You are living in your body, not your doctor. Only you can make the decision whether or not you are over-medicated by the way you feel, or maybe you're under-medicated, or not medicated. It's really important that you have that conversation with your doctor. So for those of you that are on any type of medication, be in touch with your doctor. There has been a tremendous number of people that have come off their blood pressure medication as a result of this program. There are people that have come off all of their diabetic medication. That's huge, because what do we think? Diabetic now, diabetic for life. I got to tell you one little story about my dad. He won't come because he knows I'm going to tell this story every time. My father has been a borderline diabetic for the last 8 years. So his doctor said, I say, Dad, it's like being half pregnant. You are a diabetic. And if you do not rectify the situation, you're going to sustain more systemic damage that your system is not going to be able to handle. You need to make different choices. So one night he came over. This was during the last cleanse program. And he went home and he had a headache. He's like, I have to go home. I have to go home. I have a headache. And I said, okay. Well, I said, what's your blood sugar? He's like, I don't know. I haven't tested it since I came home from out west. And I said, do me a favor. Go home, check it, and call me. And I knew he did not want to call me. He got home, he checked it, he called me back, and I said, well, how is it? He said, not good. I said, well, what was it? I don't really know, because my glucometer banged out at 27, so he was above 27. I would say he was gallivanting into the high 30s. That's a tremendous amount of stress on your body when you have blood sugar that high. I said, okay, Dad, I'll be over in a half hour. He said, great. So I was in there, typing. And I sat there and I said, okay, Dad, here's the situation. You're diabetic. And you're going to do one of two things, but something has to be done. You're either going to your doctor tomorrow and you're going to be on a medication protocol, or I can cure you in 2 weeks. Your choice, 14 days or a lifetime of medication. But if you choose the medication, you will slowly die because you're still going to have the disease. Because the medication is going to only afford you the opportunity to live with the disease. You will have retinopathy, neuropathy, cardiovascular disease, probably a hormone-sensitive cancer like prostate cancer, probably some form of renal disease at endpoint. That's the corridor you're in. Or you can give me 2 weeks of your life. They're not going to be easy, but you give me 2 weeks of your life. I knew that it would take 5 days, but I wasn't going to tell him that. And the first thing he said was, I am not doing that diet. And I said, okay, when you say I am not, I hear, I want the disease. Well, I'm telling you, Coralie, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. And I said, it is that easy, and people are doing it. I said, Dad, just try it. So first day into it, he calls me. I am not doing this. No, I can't do this. And I said, you can do this, and you will do this. Now, this is a man who literally had to pull out his seat at the kitchen table, sit his butt in the seat, and all of the food was delivered for him. He just had to open his mouth and eat it. He didn't have a choice. He had a personal chef. He had a whole support work of people. He had Vitamixers and juicers. He had it all. He just needed a shift in his attitude. So we pulled him, kicking and screaming, which is not essentially the way to do this. In 5 days, his blood sugar was 5.4. And it has not gone above 5.8, 5.9 since that time. And that was from November. He looks 10 years younger today than he did in November. It is absolutely possible, people. It just takes a willing spirit. It just takes a momentum and a desire to live your best day. We can eradicate states of dis-ease. Dis-ease. It's our choice. So, what are we going to do for the cleanse? The big question. What can we eat? Nothing. What are you laughing about? This is a 60-day fast. No, I'm kidding. You get to eat. Every single day, you're going to start your day off with lemon, freshly squeezed. You know the lemon, the yellow thing? Not with the twisty bottle top, the green, the yellow plastic with the green top. No. Not with the bottle that says real lemon. The actual fruit. You're going to cut it in half, squeeze the juice out, and that's your morning drink. Add a pinch of cayenne pepper just to purify our blood, because our blood loves that. Every single day, that's how we're going to start off our day. Lemon water. Lemon alkalizes the system. We're going to have a conversation over the next probably month about acid-base balance. So we'll talk about that a little later. So we're going to start our day off with lemon and water and a pinch of cayenne. Can we do that? And we're going to drink the best water ever. Not the fluoridated stuff, folks. Okay? Okay, here's the diet. You are going to be completely underwhelmed by your choice, initially. You get all the beans and lentils you like. That's good. You get all the nuts and seeds you want. Nobody's smiling. That's good. And you're going to have some brown rice products. Now, on this cleanse, we have what we call transitional foods. Transitional foods, for those that this is your first time, these foods are going to help bridge the gap. For those of you that have been with me before, take them out. Some of the transitional foods are the ones that contain gluten. For example, spelt and kamut flours. Some of you are like, what did she say? Cam what? You will know at the grocery store. Spelt and kamut are both flours that do contain gluten. This is not a gluten-free diet. This is a plant-strong diet that's going to help restructure the relationship you have with the food that you're eating and the thoughts that you're thinking. And you're going to see why. Okay? So this is not a gluten-free diet. This is not a vegan diet. Vegans do not eat honey. They don't wear leather. I am not a vegan. I enjoy a plant-based lifestyle. Okay? And so will you. So, your lemon water every morning, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans and lentils, brown rice. We want to stay away from the white rice, no nutrients. So our brown rice varieties. Quinoa is another good earthy food. And we're going to talk about all of this stuff at the grocery store. Your transitional foods, like I said, are your gluten-containing flours, like your spelt and your kamut. Soy. Soy is a transitional food in my world. Most people think if you give up meat, you have to fill your diet full of tofu. I hate tofu. But some of you may enjoy it, and that's okay. It's a transitional food. Soy is estrogenic, and we're going to have a conversation about hormones later in the program. Soy is very mucus-producing. Soy is in everything. You start reading your ingredient list, soy will be in there, soybean oil will be in there, soy extract will be in there, soy is everywhere. It's very versatile. And it is in some of the recipes in the manual that you will receive before the grocery store tour. So for those of you that are at the beginning of this phase, implement some of the soy products if it's going to help you bridge the gap. Soy is heavily genetically modified. Over 90% of the crops of soy, wheat, and corn are genetically modified. That means you're the experiment, because they don't know what happens with genetically modified organisms yet. They don't know how that plays out in our system yet. I think this little guinea pig experiment that we have going on in our culture, I think we know the results of that. I think we know just by looking around. The cancer, the diabetes, the heart disease, the autoimmune disorders, the thyroid conditions, the renal conditions, obesity. We know the results. We know the results. 50% of your plate should be raw. That means when you sit down and you look at your plate, you're going to recognize some of those foods because they're going to come like out of your garden. It's not hard. You might start your day off with a smoothie, for example. All of it is raw. You might decide for lunch and for supper, whatever you're making, say, for example, if you're doing a brown rice tortilla with a bunch of vegetables inside, the vegetables inside are raw. You might decide with supper if you're going to have a chili or a lasagna or a soup, that you're going to have a salad with that. So it's really not that tough to make 50% of your diet raw. And you probably will struggle with that in the beginning. So if that's too much of an undertaking, just focus on the good food. And try to get as many raw vegetables into your diet as possible. We're going to have a whole discussion on vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals. And you're going to understand why eating raw is so important. Because when you cook your food, you destroy the enzymes that you need to digest your food. Okay? We have digestive issues. We have malabsorption. That's why we have deficiency. It's not that it's not there. We can't get it into our system. Cure the inflammation, you cure the deficiency. Download, get rid of the toxins, you can upload your nutrients. It's really not that complicated. And you don't need 10 years of university to sit here and tell people this. You just need to be the science. So, that's all great and good. So what's going to happen to me? I tend to focus on what we can eat as opposed to what we cannot eat. So for those of you that are thinking, okay, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans and lentils, there's no coffee there, and there's no chocolate there, and there's no wine there, and there's no meat there, she's nuts. That's right. I tend to focus on what we can have, because oftentimes we focus too much on what we have to take away instead of what we can actually enjoy. So the 2 weeks grace period that I'm presenting you with, because the actual cleanse does not start until 2 weeks from this day, is for your weaning process of some of those things we love so much, like coffee. The half-life of coffee is 6 hours. So I have a patient that sits in my office and say, oh, I can't sleep. I would do anything for sleep. Do you drink coffee? I only have one at lunch. Okay, the half-life of caffeine is 6 hours. Multiply that by 2. Midnight, you're still have caffeine in your system. But then we wonder why we can't sleep. Coffee is so hard on the adrenal glands. It takes your body, your adrenal glands, 2 days to recover from 1 cup of coffee. And we love our coffee. We are so jacked up on coffee. Oh, the gods are not agreeing with me here, Ray J. She must drink coffee. He/she. I say she. I'm a little biased. So we need to try to wean off of our coffee. Okay? Tea doesn't matter. There's still caffeine in tea. Doesn't matter if it's black tea, white tea, green tea, it's all tea. Green tea, black tea come from the same plant. The only difference is black tea is fermented, green tea isn't. Green tea, therefore, maintains its antioxidant availability because you haven't killed it through fermentation. But it still has caffeine. We're going to enjoy things like chaga tea. You're like, what in the world is chaga tea? Mushroom. We're going to learn all about chaga. I love chaga. How many people have heard of chaga mushrooms? Oh my God! That's awesome. Did you hear me talk before? We're going to have herbal teas, rooibos tea, some of those nice blends. So try to wean down over the next 2 weeks, because if you wait for the last minute, it is not going to be pretty. You're going to be one cranky mama. Okay? Alcohol. Alcohol is extremely toxic to our system. Those that drink 1 glass of wine an evening dramatically increase your risk of breast cancer. Yes, it's proven that it has lots of wonderful cardiovascular protective properties and resveratrol and anti-aging properties, but it's estrogenic. It depletes your folate, which is an anti-cancer B vitamin. Okay? So we're going to try to divorce the wine. I've never drank a day in my life. It's hard to believe, seeming as though I'm married to Ray J. But yes, you know, it is really important to take that away. And I did not realize how many people love their wine, because where I have never had a drink, and that was totally by choice, because I'm crazy enough as it is. I had to marry a cop because I thought if I ever decide to drink, I'm going to need one, because I would be in jail. But people are addicted to their wine. What is up with that? We love our wine. But you know what? It's the nostalgia of the wine. It's what it represents. It gives you the excuse to sit down, put your feet up, and have a glass of wine. What does it say about us when we are looking for something outside of our body to bring that peace and sense of love and relaxation within our body? We shouldn't have to go any further than here. And this is what this program will hopefully access, your inner essence, to reprogram what it means to live a life true to your essence, true to your being. Maximize your genetic potential. You're not going to do that on coffee. You're not going to do that on wine. You're not going to do that on flesh-based foods. You're not going to do that on sugar. Sugar. We eat 150 pounds of sugar a year. 22 teaspoons of sugar every day is our average. We love chocolate Easter bunnies. We love sugar. We're addicted to sugar. Sugar, meat, cheese, chocolate create a bath of dopamine. So for people, that's our feel-good hormone. So when we come off of those foods, for the people that try to do the cleanse in between, and they say, I don't know, I know these things aren't good for me, but why do I keep going back? It's because you are chemically addicted to those foods. Dopamine is chemically addictive. It's an opiate in our system, natural. Our brain loves it. That's why. If you crave, you're deficient. Craving is the first sign of deficiency. So when you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I need the coffee, I need the coffee. And your husband has run away. Your wife is like nowhere to be found. Your kids don't even want to see you. It's because you are deficient. Cravings equal deficiency. Upload your nutrients, the cravings go away. We are tasting with a chemical tongue. We have acquired a taste for food-like substances. It's not even real food. You look at a processed package of food. A TV dinner, what's real in there? Stringy, cheese-like, cheese string things. What is that? Plastic cheese full of dye. Cheese has casomorphin. You're chemically addicted to that. When the protein, the casein protein in cheese breaks down, it releases an opiate-like structure called casomorphin. Casomorphin is 1/10 the strength of morphine. You are chemically addicted to cheese. That's why we don't want to give it up. When we feel bad, we just had a fight with our partner. You had a bad day at work. When we feel bad and we need to be nurtured, the comfort foods come out because they make us feel good, because they bathe our brain in dopamine. Serotonin is our next wonderful hormone, good feeling hormone. 95% of the serotonin released in your body comes from your gut. So if you have a gut that's highly inflamed and not loving you, your serotonin release is gone. So what do? We fill our lives full of chocolate, meat, cheese, and all those wonderful things. Not even real food. When you start to taste these foods on this program, the real food, the stuff that we know, you're going to be like, I don't like quinoa. It tastes like dirt. I'm never going to love quinoa because I don't like to eat dirt. I'm telling you, you have to give me 4 chances, 4 to 5 different tries. Because over the first few weeks, your taste buds are going to actually physically change. You are actually going to taste food for the first time. You're going to eat a carrot and go, oh my God, that's sweet. You will. It's hard to believe that will happen, but it will. You will taste sweet again. You will taste bitter again. You will taste salty again. You will have a true taste profile. Because right now, your taste buds are being chemically stimulated by the chemicals in your food. And that's something that we will also talk about. So, I think this started off with the side effects that you're going to feel. Side effects. Now, these are pleasant. Number 1, when you come off your coffee, you will probably have a headache, dizziness, bloating, diarrhea, or constipation. It could go either way. Both are normal, both are fun. Insomnia, as if you didn't sleep enough, not sleep enough already. Insomnia. Irritability. My father said to me on the third day of his program, he left a message on my cell phone. He said, "Coralie, this is your father." Like, no kidding. Call me. So I went home, so I called him and I said, "What's up?" "I'm eating oatmeal today." I'm like, "No, you're not." He's like, "Oh yeah, I am. So you better tell me which oatmeal I can have because I'm just going to eat oatmeal." I said, "No, you're not. You're going to have oatmeal in 3 days. Like, you can last 3 more days." He's like, "I'm telling you right now, I'm eating oatmeal." And I said, "You know what? Fine, Dad, eat whatever you want." "Fine, I'll eat eggs." I said, "Go ahead." I knew he wouldn't because he's too stubborn. So I go home. My father just built a house beside me. And I go home, and every evening I usually stop in to see Mom and Dad, and then I journey around to my place. I'm like, I am not going to see him. I am so mad at him, I just want to rip his eyeballs out. That's very vegan-like of me. So he calls me up. "Coralie, are you home?" "Yep." "You're not coming over to see us?" I said, "No." He's like, "Are you mad at me?" "Yep." "Well, you told me I could be irritable." Like, really? Yeah, okay, that's great. So you might be a little cranky, and you might experience some nausea, and it might actually be the next level. You might actually have a little bit of vomiting, but that's very rare. Most people are going to feel some muscle pain because, again, the toxins are stored in your tissues. I had one lady in the first program, she was a patient of mine, and she came in to see me shortly after she started the program. I think it was on day 5. Her daughter drove her in for her appointment. She could barely make it down the stairs, and she said to me, "I can't move. I am sore everywhere." I said, "Yeah, it's normal, but I don't like it." And I said, "Well, can you imagine what it's doing in your system when it does that coming out of your system?" She's like, "This does not make me feel better." And she said to me, "If this is what caffeine," because she drank, I think, a liter of pop a day, she had caffeine, and she said to me, "If this is what it does to me, I am never going back because I am never going through this again." So she said, "If I go back, I'm on it for the rest of my life, or I'm never going back." She never went back. Good for her. I don't think she's here either. But she is still alive because I saw her last week. So some of the benefits of cleansing. So we talked about the side effects. You know what you're going to eat. Some of the benefits of cleansing. There are none. Just joking. You may have a decrease in your medication. I like to say you absolutely will. But again, your level of success will be measured by your level of commitment. The more you commit to the process, the more you will benefit from the process. So you will probably have a decrease in your medication protocol. You will have an increase in energy, and that's hard to believe when you're taking away the caffeine, but what does caffeine and sugar do? You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, you're all around. It's craziness. We want this. And the biggest thing that I hear from people is, you know that 2, 3 o'clock? I don't get that anymore. I just feel even. Even. So you'll have an increase in energy, an increase in clarity. The fog will lift. And you're like, "Oh my God, I really am married to you." Oh. You're going to think, whoa, where did the last 20 years go? You will have a mental clarity. Because although coffee stimulates us, caffeine stimulates us, it increases our energy, it decreases our life force, our vital life force. And it creates a dullness and a fogginess. So when you take that away, when you take the sugar away, you take the flesh-based foods away, Flesh-based foods, hormones, full of hormones. Anything killed in the brutality of which our animals are killed in today, that transference of energy cannot be good for us. We need to think about that. Okay? You will have an increase in weight loss, and I know none of you want that, so pretend I didn't even say that. You're going to have an increase in the quality of your sleep patterns, both in quantity and quality. And we're going to talk about sleep, diurnal rhythms. We're going to talk about the adrenal system. We're going to talk about your lymphatic system. We're going to talk about all of this stuff over the next 8 weeks. This is just a little tidbit to put you to sleep. It's part of my trance. You're going to have an increase in health in your skin, in your nails, in your organ structure, and in your tissues. And you're going to increase your elimination process. What does that mean, people? You're going to sweat more, probably, especially those that are in that little menopause, andropause kind of life pattern right now. You're going to poop more. You're going to defecate more. And you're going to pee more. You're going to urinate more. These are our elimination processes, which you will have an increase. So for those men that do not do any grocery shopping, know where the toilet paper aisle is. You will need it. We like to talk about all this stuff here. It's all good. So the other two things I want to talk to you before we leave tonight, because I know I'm going to get a million questions, so I'm going to address it now. Dairy. What do we associate dairy with? Calcium. And meat. Because both of those things, through this process, will not be in your diet. Dairy has casein protein, known to stimulate cancer markers. When we get back to the whole thing with epigenetics, the cell environment, genetic expression, casein stimulates those cancer markers in our genetic predisposition. And it's in your milk. It's in your cheese. It's in your yogurt. And when that molecule is broken, protein is broken down, you get a release of casomorphin, an opiate, a mild opiate. Casomorphin, like I said, dopamine. Feels good, but it's not. Dairy is very mucus forming. We have that, can't seem to clear our throat. Dairy. Each one of you tonight, go home, look at your tongue. Seriously, look at your tongue. It should be nice and pink. Most people in this room, it's probably white. That's mucus. That's dairy. And dairy is in every single thing that is on those shelves in your grocery store. It is everywhere. We have less than 5% of the lactase enzyme, which is the enzyme required to break down the milk sugar lactose. So milk doesn't agree with us because milk was intended for cows, not for humans, for cows. We don't have the hardware to break milk down. But we are petrified that if we take milk out of our diets, we are going to be just a bowl of dust on the floor because we're going to be brittle and crack. Not going to happen. Dairy's full of pus. I love that. You don't know how many people I get because I say that word, pus. Yeah, P-U-S, pus. You're drinking it. Yummy. 750 million somatic cells are permitted in most of the states in the US as the allowable limit. to have in their milk source. 20 million live bacteria and 750 somatic cells. People go, oh yeah, okay, I don't know what that means. Somatic means pus. So you have 750 million pus cells and 20 million squiggly little bacteria in your milk, cheese, and yogurt. And they're allowed to do that. And then you have the bioaccumulation of the hormones, insecticides, larvicides, fungicides, all the sides. Bioaccumulation. When you eat an animal or food that comes from an animal, you are eating the bioaccumulation of what that animal has eaten or been injected with. So I say, skip the middleman, eat what the cows eat. Grass, plants. So then you think, okay, I could do that for a day. But cheese, it's dopamine. It's the dopamine addiction. You'll come away from it, and you will be fine. Almost every single plant has calcium. Cows don't die of calcium deficiencies. We have too much calcium, actually. All these osteophytes and little bony growths, they're all calcium, buildup of calcium. We need to look at silica, our silica deficiencies. That's what we need to look at. North America has the highest rate of dairy consumption in all of the world, and we also have the highest rate of osteoporosis. So if we were absorbing the calcium from our dairy products, that statistic would not exist. Dairy is extremely acid-forming. Every time you take acid into your body, it has to be buffered, and it's buffered through the alkaline minerals in our bones and the glutamine in our muscles. So it leaches all those things from our system to bind. Protein. The USDA states that we need 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I say, through my research, that we need about 25 to 30 grams of protein per day, period. So if you were looking at a 200-pound man at 0.36, you're looking at 74, I think, grams of protein. That's a far cry from 30. We are eating too much protein. Our homocysteine levels are too high. Our phosphorus levels are too high. We are a hormonal disaster because of that. We are an autoimmune disaster because of that. We have immune issues because of that. We are a gut nightmare. We have high growth of candida. Our good bacteria can't flourish because our bad bacteria is in a feeding frenzy. They're having a party in there, and you're not invited. So we need to change that. We need to change that. So you think, okay, well, if I take that away, if I take beef away, can I still have chicken or fish? What's the difference? 3 milligrams of cholesterol between a chicken breast and beef? Fish. But of course, fish is good, isn't it? What do we get in fish? We say, I need my fish because I need omega-3, right? What's omega-3? Do we know? Why do we need omega-3? See, we know we need these things, but we have no idea why. We've been fed a story and we never questioned it once. We need omega-3 because of DHA, because it feeds our brain and our neural pathways. We can get ALA and EPA, which are the precursors of DHA, from plants. And we'll teach you how to do that. You need a conversion enzyme in order to add on carbon atoms. ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, is an omega-3. 18 carbon atoms in its chain. In order for that to get to DHA, it needs 4 more carbon atoms. It needs to go to EPA, 2 carbon atoms. But it needs a conversion enzyme to do that. Enzyme, plants, important. And then when you have EPA, the brain still can't use that. 2 more carbon atoms need to be added on. 22 carbon atoms for DHA to feed your brain. All possible. But you have to modulate, you have to modify the amount of omega-6 till you can amplify your omega-3 uptake. So when you eat fish, 15 to 30% of the oils in fish are omega-3, which means 70 to 85% is saturated fat and other polyunsaturates, none of which your body needs. So you're holding on to the fish for 15% of omega-3. You're holding on to fish because you love it. You had no idea what I just said. None. But that's okay, because you will. So, if we don't eat fish, and we don't eat chicken, and we're not eating beef, and we're not eating pigs, and we're not eating birds, and worms, and insects, and all of those things, how do we get our protein? We have, at the click of a button, at a visit to the grocery store or your local market, the most bioavailable sources of protein, the bioavailable sources that your body knows what to do with. We are not animals with short little intestines that are made to eat meat. When we shoot an animal for harvest, what happens? It immediately begins to rot. So when you go to the grocery store and you look at your little package of hamburger, because we like the pink stuff, and then we get it home and it's all brown inside, you're like, ah, I got ripped off. No, it's called injection. It's all brown. They just made it look pink on the outside. Nice little trick. So when we eat that protein, it sits in our gut because we have super long GI systems. Our small intestine goes on and on and on. And it sits there and it rots. That's how we metabolize flesh-based foods. So we have pus in our milk. We have rotting flesh. And we're all good. We don't need to change one little thing. Let's think about that. You don't need 3 degrees to figure that one out. We love those things. They make us feel good. And besides, we don't have a clue what our plate looks like when you take away the fish and the chicken and the meat. It's like, well, what else? What do I put on there? Plants? That's good. Yeah, that's good. You can do that. It's about changing the way you look at the food you're eating and the thoughts you're thinking. Don't look at what you're taking away. Look at what you're infusing your life with. High resonating vitality foods. That's what your body knows. In order for us to metabolize the meat, or in order for us to eat the meat, I should say, it needs to be cooked, because we're not eating raw meat these days. So you have a chicken breast, say for example, with 30 grams of protein in it. As soon as you cook that chicken breast, 50% of your protein content is gone. So you're left with 15 grams. If you had the most pristine GI system, you might absorb 13, 14 grams, but we don't. So it's all caught up there, rotting and turning and fermenting and passing. So flesh-based foods are actually a very poor source of protein. Spirulina, chlorella, phytoplankton. You're like, okay, she's crazy now. I don't even know what those things are. Algae. We're going to teach you how to eat the most bioavailable sources of protein on this planet. Where they are, what you do to them, do with them, and how our bodies metabolize. What do they offer our system? How are we doing? Good? Good. You're good. You've been sitting here for a long time. She was the first one here. She was watching me getting all hooked up. Ray J hooked me up here. It's all good. I said to Ray J, no side profiles, and he's right there. I think, folks, I was pretty much on target. We're doing pretty good. The only thing that I want to actually talk to you about now is our sense of community. The reason why this program has been so successful is because it works. It works. Cape Bretoners do such a magnificent job of looking after one another. That is what we do best. And every single one of you are here tonight because someone cared enough about you to bring you here or to tell you about it. That is love. That is why we are here. That is what we know. That is what our souls know. You are love. We need to learn how to nurture ourselves from the inside out all over again. And if we can do that as a group, and if we can carry one another for the next 10 weeks, I promise you that you will feel different. And you think, well, Monday nights aren't going to work for me. I got to take the kids to swimming. My husband's so blah, 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 blah. Value inversion. What's important? These meetings are not replaced by the manual. I will be emailing every single one of you a manual. There's over 200 pages of information and recipes to help you along your path. And it is free. All of this is free because this venue believes in you as a community. This pavilion believes in you. This is why we are here. Ray J, my new husband, he believes in you. He's making this available for you, for your friends on YouTube. We believe in you. And there is nothing more motivating than to sit in a room of like-minded people all working in the same energy, the same space, with the same intention, wanting the very best for one another. You can do it on your own, absolutely, but I can guarantee you that you will not have the same results. There is magic in communication. There is magic in cooperation. We don't do well competing with one another. We do well when we can embrace one another. Look at how many people are here. In 2009, I started with 6 people. And now we have thousands. And you guys are so lucky because it's here. When I look at the people on Vancouver Island, and I look at the people in Calgary and California and Australia and Denmark, they're not here. They get this, but they're not here. This is an opportunity for you to learn. And I would love to help you with that. So I thank you very much for being here. The grocery store tour is going to be Sunday after your 10-kilometer run. They keep laughing at me. I don't know what's so funny. After me. Hey, I made a commitment to myself. This is my last story, I promise. Because I was running, and then I wouldn't run, and I was running, and then I wouldn't run. And I said, okay, that has to stop. And it's an excuse. We need to move. Feet, they work. And every single time that I say, oh my God, I don't want to get up, because I said, I'm going to run at 5:45 every morning. Because I literally don't have time in my day, because I actually have a job that I actually get paid for, which is cool, and I love. So I don't have time in my day when I get home after I cook my meal and do all my other stuff to actually get my physical activity in. So I said, I'm going to get up at 5:45 in the morning, and there's nothing that's going to motivate me more than to change my life than if I have to start getting up at 5:45 because I hate the morning. I am one cranky mama. And I love that treadmill. I throw in my bra and my spandex, looking really sexy, and I just go and I run. And it works for me because it's an excuse. And I've used that excuse. And it's time to put the excuses to bed and time to take action. So, that commitment I made, I'm still doing it. So when I wasn't joking about the 10-kilometer run. But no, the grocery store tour will be 7:30 on Sunday morning. We will not have a meeting next Monday night, this information session, but we will have one the following Monday. I believe that's the 15th. Is that the 15th? That will be our first meeting, official cleanse beginning meeting. That is the first day of your program. So if you guys have a lot of food questions happening, write them down and make sure you bring them to the grocery store tour, because we're talking about food on Sunday. Okay? It's at the Sydney River Superstore. For those of you that did not get my original email, if you did not leave your email address with the girls in the back prior to coming in, please leave it with them if you want to be on the email list before you go. For those of you that have parked in behind, the gentleman in the back let us know that he is going to open both doors, so you can actually leave from this side of the building or you can exit from that. I feel like a flight attendant. You can exit from that side of the building? I'd be fired on the first day. No, you really don't want that wine. I'm telling you, you don't want the wine. Yeah, I would not do well. Are there any questions? There's a lot. I know that there's a lot of information that you are probably, and I like to say this all the time, you are overwhelmed with information and underwhelmed with food choices. But you're going to see when you get the manual that there's lots of food choices available to you. Lots. It's just a matter of putting it together. And you think, I don't have the time to come home and cook? You have the time. I sat with someone in my office last week, and I said, what do you do in the evening? He said, well, I watch like a movie, and what time do you go to bed? Oh, 1, 2. What do you do? Watch a movie. You're not exercising? No, I don't have time. Really? Well, do you have time for like heart disease? Because that's what's going to happen. You have time. You have to reprioritize your time. That's all. Your body is waiting for you to arrive. The day your soul picked this body glove was the first day of a beautiful beginning. Nurture the person inside. Good things happen. Thank you.